What does the Kevin Durant trade to Houston mean for the Lakers? All it means is that there is another missed opportunity to partake in something that could change your team. That's all it means. I'm not saying that it's a time to panic. I'm not saying that we should be angry. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that every domino that falls is a missed opportunity for the Lakers to improve their team. Who won the trade? I'll speak to that a little bit later. I am focused on the Lakers. And from my perspective, I thought that Jalen Green is a player that the Lakers could use more than Austin Reeves. And I was pushing, not that my opinion matters, but I was pushing for the Lakers to trade Austin Reeves to Houston for a package that involved Jalen Green and the number 10 pick. I knew Houston didn't want the number 10 pick. I mean, you could just look at the team and tell, right? Yeah, they got Reed Shepherd on the bench, number 3 overall pick in the draft, and he's on the bench, can't get time. You knew they did not want the number 10 pick, right? And you knew they didn't want Jalen Green. So, from the Lakers' perspective, right, it's just like I said. You know, every time you see a deal go down and the Lakers are not involved, it's another opportunity that the Lakers missed. And why would I be... Look, I'm kind of a dick about this. I'm straight up. I am a dick about this regarding the Lakers at this moment. Because the Lakers sat out all last offseason. If they hadn't sat out all last offseason and you saw a team that was proactive instead of reactive, right? I wouldn't say much. I give them a pass. You know, I'm a reasonable dude, you know? But you can't give this team a pass because this team doesn't deserve a pass, or at least this front office doesn't deserve a pass, right? So, again, when you see Devin Bain go for all that he went for, and then you see Kevin Durant get traded, those are all dominoes that are being knocked down, y'all. Every time a deal goes down, it's a missed opportunity. And again, you got to look at what Rob Pelinka's MO is, right? His MO is to give you or us, the fans, enough that we shut the fuck up. That's how the dude's been moving, right? We need to make a move. He gives you guys Dorian Finney-Smith, a name that's been on Laker radar for about 2 years now. And I'm telling you, if Laker Nation wasn't talking shit, he wouldn't have done shit. You know? And that's the reason why it's early. Yo, the offseason hasn't even technically started. You still have Game 7 tonight. But with that being said, it seems like we're always watching the rest of the league be proactive. And then you watch the Lakers be reactive. Now, that also speaks to your vision. It speaks to how you think of your team going forward, right? It speaks to all of that, because if you are proactive, you're going to go get what you think you need to get for your team. If teams are making deals right now, 2 big ass deals have gone on right now, before the NBA Finals have even concluded. 2 big deals have gone on. Where are you in your grind, Rob Pelinka? Because if you are on that same self-preservation, I need to save my job, I need to preserve my reputation, I need to make sure I don't mess up because I really don't want that heat. If you're on that, get the F out of Dodge, man. You know, and I wouldn't speak to him this way again had he not sat out all of last offseason. Dude sat out all last off, and that's why I am where I am regarding this particular trade, regarding the Desmond Bain trade. 2 deals down, y'all. There's going to be plenty more that happen this year. 2 deals down. And we haven't been a part of any of them. If there was no place for us in those deals, I get it. If it was wiser to sit out those deals, I get it. But, you know, Rob Pelinka and Laker management have lost that benefit of the doubt. Now, Jalen Green, like I've said, is a better fit on the Lakers than Austin Reeves. Jalen Green is an actual option player. You give the ball to Jalen Green, I don't give a shit what's been going on for 18 or 20 seconds out of the 24-second shot clock. Luka could have been standing at the top of the key, beating the ball like he was jacking his, he could have been standing at the top of the key doing that for 20 seconds. You give the ball to Jalen Green with 4 seconds left, he's going to know what to do with it. He is an option player, and he has a big enough personality. He has that kind of court presence that he is not going to care what Luka Doncic is doing. That's why I wanted Jalen Green. With that being said, the word around the campfire is Phoenix does not want Jalen Green. Phoenix has Devin Booker. So Phoenix is, I suspect they're going to be looking to offload Jalen Green. What they want for him, what direction they choose to go with him, it's hard to say. I get the vibe Jalen Green is not highly desired around the league. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, I wonder why he's not highly desired. How come no team wants him? He must suck. I'm not making that correlation. I am not one to think that because you're in the minority on something, you're wrong. Or because you buck the conventional wisdom, you're wrong. I'm not in that. When you buck narratives, nowadays people say you're wrong. I'm not with that. I think people are wrong about Jalen Green. I think Jalen Green needs to be in the right situation around the right type of players, and he will excel. So that's the reason why I want the Lakers to get Jalen Green. Again, with it being stated that Phoenix, with it being heard or the rumor that Phoenix does not want Jalen Green, I still hope the Lakers go and get in on him. I have no idea what it would take to get him. I believe he makes about $35 million a year. I wonder if a stack of expiring contracts could get him, along with a couple of their second rounders. If you do Phoenix a favor, will they do you a favor? One thing I will say is this: money plays a bigger factor in the NBA than I've ever seen in my life. I've been watching the NBA since 1982, 83. I am not one to say, oh, well, in today's game or in the new NBA, I'm not on that shit. I will tell you this: they've arranged the collective bargaining agreement in such a way that money plays a bigger part in the NBA than I've ever seen before. And, if you got some expiring contracts and you're willing to take a player off of a team's hand that the team doesn't really want, man, those expiring contracts are worth some money. I mean, literally and figuratively. I mean, people want those expiring contracts maybe more so than they did. You take Jalen, I don't know how many years is on Jalen Green's contract, but let's say you got 3 years left on his contract, and therefore you get relieved of 2 years of his contract, and then you're clear on the books of that money. That is worth a lot more than it used to be. It's a bigger deal than it used to be. So, you take a Gabe Vincent, who actually is funny. Phoenix needs a point guard. You take and I don't know how much they're trying to win next year. It sounds like you trade KD, you kind of gone into a kind of rebuild on the fly type mode. Gabe Vincent is a good player for that. You take Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, guys who you don't mind losing. Man, you might get Jalen Green, maybe 2 of those second rounders that they got from Houston. Quality second rounders. I'm not talking about like the 55th pick that we have. You could get some quality second rounders from Phoenix. Jalen Green, I give them Austin Reeves, man. And it's possible that where they stand, they may want Dalton Connect. And I trade Dalton Connect for Jalen Green. But I don't know, man. It's hard to. Nobody really knows the direction they're going in. But I hope the Lakers get in on that. I want the Lakers to get Jalen Green. I think Jalen Green is a better fit than Austin Reeves, and I love Austin Reeves, but I think Jalen Green is a better fit. The problem you're going to have here is Rob Pelinka is more worried about winning in the court of public opinion. He's worried about money and winning in the court of public opinion. And in the court of public opinion, I think he just does not want to face the wrath of making such a trade. Furthermore, I wonder if he's even capable of making such a trade right now. Given new management came in, right? I hope they're assessing his job performance, because the dude's done shit, right? Y'all can keep giving him credit for the Luka Doncic trade. I don't. Not when I know 29 other general managers would have done the same damn thing, and probably 90% of all fans in the NBA would have done the same damn thing. I'm not giving him credit for that. You know, so I'm wondering if he even has the pull at this moment, I mean immediately, to go do such a trade, right? To pull off such a trade right now. But even if he did have the pull to do that trade, I don't know that he would. Look, man, it's not about making the Lakers better. That's what people need to understand about Rob Pelinka. He is not about making the Lakers better, right? Better means winning. He is not about winning. The last regime was not about winning. So why would he go and trade a fan favorite with similar numbers, right? Dude got no vision in that sense. He's not paid to have vision in that sense. He was paid to maintain the status quo. That's what Rob Pelinka was paid to do. So if he makes a move, he's going to make a move on the margins. Dude was giving away draft picks like they ain't even matter. Just as long as today. Just today. Literally today. If today we're good, then I'm good. Right? But you can't be a good general manager and execute in that manner. You can't be a good general manager and do that. It's got to be about today and tomorrow. Rob Pelinka ain't about tomorrow. That dude was throwing good draft picks or throwing good money after bad money all the time in the form of draft picks. All the time the dude was doing that. So, yeah, I suspect that I hope Rob Pelinka resigns. I think he's going to. But I hope he resigns so that the Lakers could move on and get this damn thing going, man. Because if the Lakers sit out another offseason, it's not really you just sitting out an offseason. It's more than that. You sit out the offseason, everybody else is proactive. So you start right here. You sat out, they went forward. Right? You like to think you stay right here. You don't. When you are inactive, you know, think about it like this. If you are a basketball player and you sit out all summer, right? When you come back at the end of the summer, are you the same player? You're not. And if other guys have been working all summer, it's not, you lose. You go backwards, man. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the unique thing about life. In life, if you stop growing, you're going backwards, right? As a 12-year-old kid, you got a dirty room. That's one thing. As a 30-year-old man, you got a dirty room. That's something different. It's something different. I keep trying to tell my kids this shit. They got, you know, my son, he got a dirty, it ain't that bad. I got another kid, man, and, you know, I went in there for the first time in a minute, and the room was awful. And, you know, I mean, she's 18, talking about going to college. I was like, yo, you don't get it. You can't go to college and you keep your room like this. You're going to be living in a dorm with somebody. And you think, oh, well, when I go, I'll just start being clean. No, you don't get it. It's up here now. It's in you now. You know, you now have to do work to come out of that person you became. You have to do work now. You know, and that's where the Lakers are. Because of who the GM is and because of how the organization chose to move. You know, it stopped being about winning and became about money. Well, once it became about money, you got to do work now for it to become about winning again. Right? When it was about money, who cares if you sat out the offseason? You got LeBron and Anthony Davis. They're going to fill the house. You go on the road, they're going to sell all the seats out and the merch and all that shit. And you're right here with it. But you think being right here with that is as good or better than being up here with that. Because Jerry West and them would have been making moves to try to make the team better. You're making moves to ensure. Now, let's say that Jerry West makes moves to make the team better, and they don't really work, right? You guys still might make the same amount of money, right? A Rob Pelinka general managed team might make the same amount of money as a Jerry West general managed team. So what difference does it make? I'll tell you. What Jerry West is leadership starts at the top. It really does. And what Jerry West is trying to do, the whole rest of the effing team sees. Everybody else is watching that. When you got clowns, and I don't know that these people are literal. I know they're not literally clowns, but I don't know that they're clowns. But when you got clowns like Kurt Rambis, Linda Rambis, Rob Pelinka, I'm only adding him in there is because he's a friend hire. He was unqualified, and he got the spot because he knew somebody who knew somebody. You know, you got all your family in there working. You know what I mean? It doesn't portray seriousness. The organization, the players, everything, start from top to bottom. You think you could keep everything serious? You can't. You think you could keep everything professional? Well, I know all my friends and family is working here, but I'm going to keep it professional. You can't. It's not how the world works. You know? And that's why every time I see one of these trades go down, and you know, because it just so happened to be Desmond Bain, who is right on par with Austin Reeves. And then my ideal trade target this summer was Houston. I thought Houston could have used Austin Reeves. And now that domino's fallen. Now, like I said, Phoenix doesn't want Jalen Green. So it's possible that the Lakers could get Jalen Green from Phoenix. You know, you take a team that doesn't want a player and a team who wants a player, you might have to give up a little bit to get the player you want. But I kind of don't see why. Well, actually, how old is Devin Booker? That would be a badass backcourt. That'd be a badass backcourt if you just use them both as initiators. You know? Devin Booker and Austin Reeves could be a badass backcourt. Jalen Green's a little bit too ball dominant. But, hey, man, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Now, as far as who won the trade, you know, when you talk about who won a trade, you got to look at where both organizations are. Right? For what Houston wants to do, I think that was a good trade. I got an issue, though. When you give up Dillon Brooks, you're giving up a personality, right? You're giving up a team trait that was needed. You see? That's my biggest issue. The Jalen Green part of it, I'm not tripping about. You know, especially when you know you got Reed Shepherd, who's been waiting to get his opportunity. So now you opened up a slot in the backcourt. I get that, right? But it's the Dillon Brooks part kind of hurts. The number 10 pick, I think, is relatively irrelevant. At number 10, I mean, you're going to get somebody who's not... See, this is what I kept saying, man. Houston is at a spot where they're the number 2 seed. You take a team that's the number 2 seed, and they got a player they don't want, and they know what they need, yo, man, you could go get something from that team. That's why I was so high on trading Austin Reeves to Houston. Because you could get Jalen Green, who I believe better fits with the Lakers anyway. But you could probably get other assets out of Houston because Houston is the number 2 seed, and they're on the cusp. You know? So, in that sense, Houston got the player they think they need. In that sense, Houston won. Now, Phoenix just got through trading a 37-year-old Kevin Durant, and I think they got a lot back for him. I actually think that given where Phoenix is, Phoenix won too. You know, I hate to be the guy that says, well, you know, both sides. I hate that both sides shit. But, like I said, it depends on where both teams are. So, like, let's say the Lakers traded with Houston. I think that would have been easier to grade. I think it would have been more binary because Houston won 52 games last year. The Lakers won 50. We thought the Lakers had a good shot to go to the Western Conference Finals, maybe even the finals. Houston fans thought their team had a good... I mean, it was more, it was closer, and then you could really dissect who won that trade. In hindsight, I don't think Houston would have traded Jalen Green to the Lakers. 52 wins, 50 wins, same conference. I don't see it. I think Phoenix might do it. Houston wouldn't do it. But as far as what Phoenix needed, again, it's a 37-year-old Kevin Durant, and people keep throwing his stats out there, talking about he's a good defender and all this other shit. Yo, it's a 37-year-old Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant ain't LeBron James. He's just not. I'm not talking literally. I mean, he just his what he does just isn't. And in my opinion, I think Kevin Durant fell off. I don't give a shit what his numbers say. Reason why I say that is because you're talking about a Kevin Durant who missed the playoffs last year. He played. People keep touting his numbers and shit. I don't know how many games he played, but his team missed the playoffs. It's Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Bradley Beal I'm not going to count, but I don't know, man. You start out a team with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, you're supposed to make the playoffs. They missed the playoffs last year. I think that speaks to what your game is becoming. I've seen players put up numbers, right? Older players put up numbers, but they're just not the same player. And I think that's what Houston just bought. I think they bought all the numbers say the dude could ball, but something's missing, man. And it's like same. I'll tell you straight up with LeBron, man. I saw LeBron in the playoffs this past season against Minnesota, and there were points in the game where I said, "Yo, man, LeBron his heart ain't in this anymore. He may be playing the game, he may think his heart is in it, but man, them dudes banging down there in the paint, and LeBron don't want any part of it. He was unnoticeable, and that." In that same sense, that's what I see from Kevin Durant, man. Not that I watch him a bunch, but I don't. There gets a point where it's like, man, I don't give a shit what your numbers say. You ain't the same player. You're not the same player. It's like that famous phrase. Jordan was like, "Yeah, I could average 30 easy now." What is that? 8 points a quarter? Well, yeah. If you go out and your goal is to score 8 points a quarter, you might be able to score 8 points a quarter. But the effort you got to put into scoring that 8 points a quarter changes, and therefore it takes away from other aspects of the game and other aspects of the team. And then, but by the time you factor everything in, you're not the same player. I don't think Kevin Durant's the same player. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think for what both teams are, and for what both teams need, for what both teams' aspirations are, I think it was fair on both ends, man. I think 5 seconds, that number 10, again, Dillon Brooks is the one. Because Dillon Brooks, as much as Laker Nation hates him, I never hated the dude like that. It's what he does. It's who he is. I ain't tripping about that. But as much as Laker Nation hated him, right? Houston got something out of that. They definitely benefited from his approach to the game. And I think it's going to be missed more so than they think. Additionally, he was also a better offensive player than I thought. Especially in the last year or two. The dude really came around. I really like him as a player. I mean, I don't get hung up on all that extra shit. Like a lot of Laker Nation does. I don't care. But I like him as a player. So anyway, that's where I stand on the Houston-Phoenix trade. Ultimately, what it comes down to me is, from the Laker perspective, it's just another missed opportunity. There's going to be more. I'm not tripping about the opportunity being missed. There's going to be more. But given the Laker track record, given Rob Pelinka's track record, you kind of you got to sigh and acknowledge it. I told my son, I was like, look, man, If you're on time 50 times, and you're where you're supposed to be 50 times straight, and your work is done on time 50 times straight, and you're never late, and you're just solid like that, the one time you miss, nobody's gonna say shit. But when you are steady effing up, you might could come to work 50 times straight, on time, have everything done right on time, and when you F up, it's going to stick out. And people are going to notice it. And people are going to start questioning you. And that's where the Lakers are right now. That's where especially Rob Pelinka is right now. Jeannie Buss needs to get as far the F away from the organization as humanly possible. They stink. There's a stink around them. And that's the reason why every time a trade goes down, and you're like, well, how come the Lakers didn't? Where was Rob Pelinka when every time a trade goes down, if it looks like the Lakers could have been up, that's the question that's going to be asked. Because you earned that. Your actions earned that. And that's just where I am as far as that trade goes. I was hoping the Lakers traded Austin Reeves to Houston for Jalen Green and the number 10. That was my proposed. Austin Reeves and the number 31 for Jalen Green and the number 10. I'm sorry, the 2031 pick for Jalen Green and number. That was my initial proposed proposition for this summer. I am inclined to think that Rob Pelinka holds on to Austin Reeves because Austin Reeves is a fan favorite and Laker Nation loves him. Not because trading him will make the team better, but because Austin Reeves is a fan favorite and Laker Nation loves him. And that's where I've resigned myself regarding Austin Reeves. Just from what I've seen this offseason and how he's been moving and whatnot, that's where I've resigned myself. And it's a problem. It's a problem. Because again, Rob Pelinka likes to win in the court of public opinion. He don't like to win on the court. He likes to win in the court of public opinion. Anyway, y'all, this is Pure Cut Lakers. I'll catch you later.